Why does it hurt to stop? Why do my hands tremble just for a moment when I set the phone down and feel the sudden silence flood the room? I tell myself it's nothing, just boredom, just habit, just an itch that will fade, but it doesn't. Every hour, every day, the hunger grows quieter but deeper, like a wound healing over rot. Isn't it strange, this paradox? So many voices, so much noise, and yet I've never felt so alone. My feed pulses with faces, 1,000 avatars promising intimacy, but their eyes don't see me. Their words slip through, empty, weightless, and still I scroll, searching for something. What exactly? Connection, meaning, permission to exist. I wonder if you feel it too. The ache that comes not from missing out, but from knowing you're already lost inside it. I watch my own reflection in the black glass after the screen goes dark. Eyes blank, mouth slack, hope flickering and gone. When did this begin? Was there ever a first moment, a first swipe that set the loop in motion? Or have we always been waiting for a signal, some sign from the outside that what we are is enough? The algorithms feed us, but the hunger only sharpens. Every notification is a tiny jolt, a ghostly affirmation. Look, you are seen. But the truth is, it never fills the emptiness. It never will. Maybe that's the secret we're all running from, that the scrolling, the sharing, the endless little likes, they're not proof of life, but evidence of the void. To quit, what does it mean, really? To risk silence, to face the ache without anesthesia, to sit, shaking in the dark, and ask, when I am no longer seen by anyone, do I still exist? There is no comfort in that question, only the quiet, haunted pull of what's real, and still, I can't look away. We call it pleasure, but that's not what dopamine is. It's not joy, it's not satisfaction. It's the ache that chases after satisfaction and never catches it. It's the quiet voice urging you, go, seek, scroll, repeat. Our ancestors evolved on empty plains, wired for hunger and the hope of reward. They learned to survive by chasing what always receded. Now, the chase has changed, but the wiring hasn't. Social media is the perfect predator, a machine built to lure the ancient animal in your brain, turning the curiosity that once saved your life into a lever for endless craving. Anna Lembke calls it the addiction cycle. Andrew Huberman names it the broken compass of focus. Cal Newport calls it digital distraction. But the truth is colder. This is not distraction. This is design. Every platform learns you. Each tap, each pause, each flicker of your gaze, until you're nothing but a pattern to be nudged, a string to be pulled. The algorithm doesn't care who you are. It only wants you engaged, until who you are becomes just another reaction. Another hungry click. We imagine, we choose, but our choices have been mapped, our desires anticipated, our will hijacked by code more cunning than any tyrant. When our impulses are shaped by machines, when our restlessness is manufactured, what is left of the self? Is it even possible to know what we truly want? Dopamine detox, a phrase that almost sounds laughable. But what if it's not a life hack, not a challenge, but an act of rebellion? What if refusing the next swipe is the first step back to sovereignty? The first line drawn between what is me and what is manufactured in me. To quit social media addiction, to attempt dopamine detox, is to declare a small war for autonomy, for the battered, flickering flame of desire that is still your own. And that war is ancient, older than algorithms, older than you. So, it's the same struggle that haunted every philosopher. Will I rule myself, or be ruled by what rules me? We think we're the first to struggle with this, but history laughs at our arrogance. Once, control wore a uniform and shouted through loudspeakers. Now, it hides in code, whispering your own desires back to you, carefully tailored, sharpened in the dark. Orwell warned us, a world watched and shaped by distant eyes. But his telescreens were crude compared to the algorithmic panopticon that maps us from the inside out. Every scroll, every pause, measured and remembered, not by a single watcher, but by 1,000 invisible patterns that know you better than you know yourself. Jung saw it coming too, in his shadow work, in his vision of the collective. Mass media once bound us together, a shared story, a common myth broadcast to millions. But now, the myth splinters. There is no collective, only you and your feed, your anxieties, your secret cravings, all mirrored back, amplified in isolation. The propaganda machine no longer pushes a single message. It learns to speak in your own voice, to shape your shadow and call it truth. Johann Hari calls it stolen focus. Nir Eyal describes the hooks buried in every interface. But words, they're almost too late. The transformation is nearly complete. We're fed not what we believe, but what keeps us scrolling, frightened or delighted or enraged, always moving, never arriving. The line between public and private blurs. What you want and what you are told to want become indistinguishable. Whose thoughts are these, really? Whose hunger? To learn how to quit social media addiction now, it's not just a personal battle, it's a historical rebellion, an attempt to step outside the machine and remember what unmanipulated desire feels like. If we don't see ourselves in the mirror of history, we're condemned to wear the mask, just one more shadow in the algorithm's endless hall of faces. What if comfort is just a more elegant form of captivity? I find myself scrolling late into the night, eyes dry, heart heavy, soothing some vague ache that never quite disappears. The world outside is too loud, too uncertain. So I retreat into curated feeds, gentle anesthetics for my restless mind. But in the spaces between dopamine hits, a deeper unease seeps through, a sense that I'm drifting further from something real, something raw, something only silence can reveal. Social media doesn't heal my loneliness or fear. It only muffles them, wraps them in a fog of notifications and idle laughter, so that what is wounded in me can go unnamed a little longer. Why do I choose sedation over awakening? Is it cowardice or exhaustion, or simply the belief that I am too broken to face the world unfiltered? I remember Jung's words. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. How much darkness do I avoid every time I reach for the glowing screen, escaping into the infinite scroll rather than sitting with my own emptiness? The shadow waits in that silence, the old fears, the unlived life, the pain that never left, but simply went underground. Every distraction is a bargain. I will give up knowing myself if it means I don't have to feel the pain of being lost. Yet the more I avoid discomfort, the more power it gains over me. The digital anesthesia soothes, but never heals. Boredom, anxiety, shame. These are messages from the self, invitations to return to what matters. If only I am brave enough to listen. The rebellion against the algorithm is not a public spectacle, but an internal reckoning. Can I sit with my longing and my fear and let them speak? Can I attempt a dopamine detox, not as a trend, but as a test? An act of radical honesty, a ritual for becoming real. True freedom is terrifying, not because it is empty, but because it is full. Full of the shadow I've spent a lifetime avoiding. And in that space, where sedation ends and the self begins, the only question that matters is, who will I become? If I stop running, freedom is a haunted house. Most days, we live in its familiar corners, lights dimmed, doors safely locked. But what happens when you finally put the phone down and the lights flicker off? The silence comes, not as a comfort, but as a chill, an echo that spreads through every room of your life. You wanted peace, but instead, you get exposure, the rawness of the world, the rawness of your own longing. Nothing left to dull the ache. It's easier to run, to wrap yourself in algorithms, in the blue glow of forgetfulness, to choose sedation over sensation. Easier, but every time you pick that comfort, the rooms shrink, the house grows smaller, you grow smaller. Camus once wrote that the struggle itself is enough to fill a man's heart. Frankl whispered that meaning is found not in pleasure, but in the tension between who we are and who we might yet become. But what do those words mean on a quiet night when you can feel the cold inside your own bones? Without distraction, time becomes strange, slow, heavy, alive with questions that never find answers. The world is louder, yes, but so is your emptiness. In the pause after quitting, after detoxing dopamine, what you find is not relief, but responsibility. You become the caretaker of your own hunger, the only one left to witness your private search for meaning. And that is the true cost of awakening. It leaves you alone with the task of making sense of your own existence. When the feed goes dark, you meet yourself in the silence, not the curated version, not the mask you built for the network's applause, but the part of you that suffers and aches and hopes without knowing why. The shadow you fled is waiting here, unresolved, unfinished. The freedom you sought is just this, the chance to finally see what lives beneath your own distraction and to ask, perhaps for the first time, if you are willing to stay. Will you fill the silence with noise or let it break you open? Will you choose oblivion or the unsteady promise of becoming frighteningly awake? Some questions are better left unanswered. Some awakenings never let you sleep again.